Hello and welcome to the Hyperspace Podcast. My name is Sam and I'm joined by Michael Ghosh. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Good. You?
Yeah, I'm not too bad myself. This is a new podcast. Everyone's welcome. Whether you're a Stars fan who's recently got into it, don't know much about it, like a casual fan, or you're hardcore fans like me and Michael are. You are welcome. Today we are going to be talking about what some recent controversy that's happened in the Stars universe. With the Gina Carano. She has been fired from Lucasfilm after sharing some controversial messages on Instagram. Like reading out her what she shared now, she said that Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them for simply being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views? Now, as you can tell, there was a storm on Twitter with hashtag fire Gina Carano and hashtag cancel Disney Plus trending before Lucasfilm stepped in, saying Gina Carano is no longer currently employed by Lucasfilm and there are no plans for her to return in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Michael, what are your thoughts on this situation, which seems to come out of nowhere?
Yeah, it did. It's a strange situation to put Disney into because now they've had essentially one of their main characters from their main hit show be fired, and they're somehow going to have to try and move on from that. Especially as a lot of the Mandalorian script would have probably been written at the stage because they're going to start filming soon. Um, yeah, it's a very strange situation, especially how suddenly Lucasfilm seems to be willing to fire her.
Yeah. Do you think the post? Do you think it was enough to fire her for, or do you think that it's maybe a step too far? Maybe they should have let her off.
It's hard to tell. I know that there was issues with her being an anti-masker as well,
Hmm.
and I would assume that there's other issues around the current situation, the current post, where I don't think the post necessarily would have been enough on their own, although Disney's kind of well within its rights to fire her over the post because she's damaging their image.
Yeah. No,
Um,
totally. I mean, it's not the
it's
first
yeah.
time she's caused controversy, is it? I mean, as you said there,
No,
she's made fun of people for wearing masks during a pandemic. She's openly supported Trump, which got her stick. Which is you shouldn't get stick for supporting
no,
like someone politically. I think that's quite ridiculous. But then she also supported Trump's claims of voter fraud in the election. So it's not the first time that she's like caused a lot of controversy on Twitter and just in the media. But this I think this Insta post was just I think it pushed Disney over the edge. I think they had to make a decision. I think
yeah, they
it
did.
it forced them into a corner, and they had to go right. You're not employed by us anymore.
I think especially because, like you're saying, there was the cancelled Disney Plus hashtag and the hashtag fire Gina Carano. Um, I think they needed to make a stance either side, whether they were going to stand with her and say no, this is okay. Which, considering the comments and the other views she's had, Disney I don't think would have been willing to stand for her. I think especially with the content, maybe not so much the controversy, but the actual content that has been causing controversy, like the anti-masking stuff as well. I think Disney took the stance that they were against that being projected as basically their image because she works for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's effectively compared her being a Democrat and how they're being treated to how Jews were being treated in like what is probably agreed to be like the worst period in their history.
True. Yeah. But
It's
yeah,
it's
it's
quite a extreme view.
yeah. I think with that sort of post, she was. I can't imagine posting that and not trying to get a reaction
Yeah,
from people. Like, if you've got a large mass media following and you post something, you'll have, PR agents and stuff who can advise you on what to do. Most people won't be in charge of their own social media, or at least they will be advised on what to write and stuff if it's political, especially. Um, so it's one of those things where she's sort of done it to herself a bit. I mean, I'm not sure whether Disney should necessarily they have the right to be able to fire someone for something they have said not on the job, but they the company's allowed to do that because that's like that she represents the company essentially. Whether or
yeah,
not that's fair, it's hard to say, but Disney have the right to fire her, and I think they've made the right decision in that they've made the right decision by making a decision instead of not taking a stance either side. I think that would have caused more problems. Because if they didn't know whether they're going to fire her or not, that would have caused issues for production of other, well, TV shows that are going ahead. Because there's a good chance that she'll cross over into other stuff or would have crossed into other stuff.
yeah, definitely. No, I agree. I think I think people should be allowed to have opinions, and people should be allowed to share those opinions. But it's just when they're that extreme. I think because they've in the past they've let they've hired people who have done controversial stuff in the past. I think this is a real signal from Disney and Lucasfilm saying, "Listen, that you're not going to get away with that anymore. If you're going to be posting things which could be seen as like against people's cultural and like religious identities, that you're not going to get away with it. They're taking a firm stance. They will happily fire someone, even like as she's not even like that much of a background character. She was quite a prominent character in season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian, and I think she's a great character in that. I think she's a really interesting character, but it's just a shame that she's had to be so controversial and put a post out that has just that's just so she hasn't thought it, well, she probably has thought it through, but the fact that she's reposted that and thought that'll be fine, or just posted that and think they're not going to fire me for that, I just think it's naive on her behalf.
Yeah, I saw a headline. I forget which news outlet it was. It was headline was Cara Dune is the strong female character Star Wars needs, but Gina Carano isn't.
Yeah,
And I think that kind of sums up the situation really, really well because Cara Dune is a really well written character. I think she's a very well written character. As a sort of, I say side character, you know what I mean? Like a
yeah,
very prominent character, but not part of the main cast, like Grief Karga. I think Grief Karga is a very good character as well. There's a
yeah,
lot of potential with exploring sort of someone who's involved in sort of the Bounty Hunters Guild and has since sort of become a bit of like, I don't know how you describe it, but like the local law, but somewhat outside of the law as well,
yeah,
because he's in the Outer Rim and stuff, and he's sort of working with the New Republic. I think that would be really interesting to explore. But now, even his character is in slight predicament as well because his character, a lot of it was building up a relationship between him and Cara Dune as working together, and now if they have him, they're going to have to try and explain why she isn't there. I don't
yeah,
see them recasting her and like you said, it's just a great shame because you hate to see it when like someone they started building up this very good character and they haven't really gone that far with her yet, but they've made a very good foundation on things they could go and explore in either Mandalorian season 3 or some other show. Because I think a lot of them are on multi-show contracts,
Yeah.
like how Dawson's in like a multi-show contract. Um, I think it's just a bit of a shame because, like you're saying, it's just the potential was so good for this character, and now it needs probably someone's gonna have to replace a character, not so much replace the actor, but someone's gonna have to step in and fill a similar role, I think, which I
Yeah.
don't think is possible.
Yeah, well, my next question was going to be, I mean, what do you think will happen to her? So, do you think she'll be? So, you don't think she'll be recast? You think she'll be
I
written out the script?
I think normally with recasting and stuff, it's really hard to recast people on TV shows, and you have to find someone who is. If I think because everyone would know it's being recast, it'd become an issue,
Yeah,
and the character was like designed for her, as in when thought the role, they did the concepting. It was concepting like the concept art is of her.
yeah,
So it's hard to know how and whether someone like you'd want someone to be have the role recast and whether because the characters only just had the foundations put in whether it would be okay if they could try and put a different character to try and fill in the sort of she had the relationship with the New Republic, but none of the other characters do really
yeah,
in the Mandalorian. So they've got to sort of try. I think if they want to continue the way they were going or what they were building up, they need someone who has that relationship with the New Republic.
yeah.
But yeah,
I heard,
recasting, I don't think will happen.
yeah, I heard. I was reading about the New Republic, and apparently Cara Dune is meant to be one of the like prominent characters in it. So Disney, by making this decision, whether it's the right or wrong one in firing her, they now have a big John Favreau and Dave Filoni have a big task on their hands now to they've almost got to they might have to rewrite almost completely what like a lot of their ideas, or they'll just have to put a different character in there,
I, I
and
think
we'll have to do something like
with
that.
with a sort of character insert, there's quite a lot of danger trying to rewrite a story not written for that character, and then trying to insert another character into that.
Yeah,
I think if they try and do that, there will be a lot. It won't just it'll delay the projects of the Rangers of the New Republic will be delayed as a result. If it's true that she was going to be the main character or one of the very prominent characters.
yeah,
Um, it seems like it was because I don't know how she'll fit into Mandalorian season 3, but
yeah,
who knows what's going to happen too much with that. Yeah, I don't see them recasting her though because it just seems like it's like with recasting, it's too soon almost to do it.
yeah,
Like I think it would be quite jarring for people to see a different actress who won't look. I don't know. Maybe you could get someone who looks the same, but it'll you will know it's someone else.
yeah,
And I
definitely.
think because it's immediately following her being in season 2, it will be like a very harsh experience on the viewer.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's more of a problem with the Rangers of the New Republic than the Mandalorian. As if she's if she's a main character in that, because in the Mandalorian, like you have the end of season 2, and you could easily just have her not come back. You could probably just get away with that in the Mandalorian. While in Rangers of the New Republic, I don't think if she's a main character. Again, this is speculation. But if she is a main character, I don't think you can get a you're going to have to just rewrite it, or yeah, just recast. And then recast, as you say, has a lot of issues, especially in TV shows. But it's an interesting conundrum, really, about what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for TV shows to recast people. It's happened before.
Yeah,
It's a very different show, but it happens on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with
yeah,
Aunt Viv got recast,
yeah,
and that's a very jarring experience going from one season to the next.
yeah. And
Like it's so strange.
a lot of people weren't happy with that recast. That caused
Yeah,
a lot of people weren't happy with it.
I think they're better off um, for now because I don't think she'll get. I don't see Disney reversing the decision and suddenly rehiring them. I think it's a different situation to maybe James Gunn and Guns of the Galaxy, which is similar where he got fired for tweets.
Yeah,
But I think with even with that, because he was a director, um, he was able to sort of move around a bit, and it was allowed to the situation could breathe because there was nothing. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 wasn't in the works when that happened. It was being written. Whereas with Cara June, there's a lot of urgency with we need to start
yeah,
thinking about writing and especially with the sort of I'm going to call it the MCU style they want with these TV shows.
yeah,
It's not something where they can suddenly cut her in because all of the stuff they want to do with the sort of New Republic era stuff, the Mandalorian era stuff, they're all going to be writing that concurrently, or so they're all going to be writing at similar times, where the writers will know what's going on in each TV show. Although there's a good chance they'll have a rough idea of what's going to happen, and that will inform decisions. Like Ahsoka must have been it would have been in the works, or the idea would have been concepting
definitely. Yeah,
when she was being written into the Mandalorian. And like it's a similar. Imagine if they had had problems with Ahsoka, although even then, at least that's a character that could have been the recast is there of waiting. Like they could have if they recast as Ashley, that wouldn't be a problem because people would identify that as Ahsoka. But with Cara June, there is no one else who's played this character, and it's not quite the same. Where Ahsoka wasn't really recast so much as she was. I mean, she was recast, but because it's a going from live action to animation, it's a bit less jarring. Even I found that a jarring experience watching someone like Ahsoka with a different voice. But it's not quite even. That's not the same situation. This would be like a mid TV show swap, basically.
Yeah.
I know, like you said, it won't affect the Mandalorian so much, but if what we've heard is true about the New Republic with Cara June being one of the main characters or a very prominent character, it's going to be a really difficult situation for them to navigate.
Yeah, no, I agree. You mentioned James Gunn there from Guardians of the Galaxy, big director going to direct Suicide Squad. I know it's not like he's not related to Star Wars, but he got fired for old tweets. Do you think there's a difference between Gina Carano tweeting this now than getting fired for tweets when they were, let's say, they were seen as more, they were terrible, like they were bad jokes, like as in terms of like the content in them. But do you think as they were in a period where that was more acceptable than now, like they were nowhere by no means acceptable, but they were like seen as more people would have been like, yeah, he's only joking. Then, like, do you think that there's a difference between tweeting that now and then getting fired for old tweets?
With the James Gunn situation, I think a lot of it was down to, like you said, it was older tweets. A lot of the jokes were like jokes in bad taste, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Whereas what Gina Carano has done is she has tweeted and posted stuff not as a joke, but as a serious statement of a political view. And I think maybe that is, especially as these are older tweets we're talking about for James Gunn as well, I think the situation differs quite a lot for how the ability to be able to rehire someone
Yeah.
I mean, they could have kept James Gunn fired, and that's within Disney's rights, I think, because again, it's their brand image, and they don't want to damage that. And I'm not saying whether I agree with the fact they can affect people's freedom of speech, but they're allowed to do it, and it seems reasonable that they can fire someone over it. If that's their brand image they're worried about, it's understandable why they do it. But yeah, the James Gunn situation I think was a different situation because, like you said, there were older tweets, there were jokes. I mean, they were really bad. You're right, they're really bad jokes. But I think because the intention could be, you can argue over intention over it a bit more.
Yeah.
You can argue whether it was designed to offend people or it was putting across a certain political view. You can argue, yes, it was a joke.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not the same with the Gina Carano situation.
Yeah, no, totally. I saw on TikTok about how they could write out Gina Carano, which just made me laugh. It was Jar Jar Binks makes his first live action appearance in 20 years and accidentally lands his ship on quarantine. That'd be in hysterics. I mean, what way to get rid of her?
I mean, it's like, I mean, that's a good example. I think it's a very hard situation. Like, yes, you can remove her character, but I think like it's hard because they've been setting up a lot to. They've got to do it in a very careful way to remove her character off screen, I'd imagine, because she won't be in it.
Yeah.
So they've got to basically somehow remove her character off screen, which I'd imagine will sum up to, oh yeah, she went somewhere else. It's lazy. It's lazy, but they're in a situation where they can't have her in any scenes likely because she's been fired, and I don't think Mandalorian started filming. It may have done.
Not sure. Early stages it has.
I think, and also I think if they fired her, they won't want to use her anyway in the TV show because they fired her at a point which they can reshoot and they've got the budget to do it. I think even if she was in it, they'll try and remove her out of it. I think that's how Disney will approach it.
Yeah.
Unless she's suddenly rehired, which I don't see happening.
No, I don't.
I think this will be an exiling out of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, nah, totally. But we want to know what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. I think that that wraps up our discussion about Gina Carano, about whether she should have been fired or not. Just quickly, one word answer: fired or not fired?
Fired.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. But yeah, as I said, let me know what let us know what you think. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with another podcast going through all the upcoming shows and movies announced at the Disney event in December. So stay tuned for that and more Star Wars content coming up. But thank you for watching. Thank you, Michael, for being here.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, no worries.
Nice being here.
We will see you next week, and may the Force be with you.